So the Donald Trump clown show continues, and right now Trump's floating a 50% tariff across Europe. This is an insane escalation in his trade war and basically declaration against the world that he's crazy and he wants to control everything. Have a listen to what he has to say regarding the Europe trade war.
You are a deal maker, deal breaker. What are you hoping to achieve with a 50%? Tariffs on the
well, I think this is there is no tariff, because what they'll do is they'll send their companies into the U.S. and build their plant. You know, we have I guess over $12 trillion practically committed. You look at other presidents; they haven't had $1 trillion for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. We have numbers. Nobody's ever seen numbers like we have. And if they build their plant here, then they have no tariff at all.
Are you looking for a deal in 9 days? Will you be able to do that, sir?
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. But again, there is no tariff if they build their plant here. Now, if somebody comes in and wants to build a plant here, I can talk to them about a little bit of a delay. But, you know, while they're building their plant, which is something I think that would be appropriate, maybe we'll determine that.
So that was Trump. It sort of sounds like to me is take my way or the highway. And I just don't think other countries are going to respond positively to that kind of talk. We actually have some details now coming from Bloomberg of some of the things that they're negotiating, and it's actually quite fascinating, and I want to go over that with you. So let's read a little bit together here. It says, U.S. President Donald Trump blasted the European Union's latest trade proposal, rejecting offers. So this is Trump saying no, rejecting offers to jointly remove tariffs on industrial goods. So hey, Europe's like, hey, let's have some free trade. Trump's like, no, 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 you know, I'm trying to get a deal here. That's sort of Trump's point of view. Also, it says to boost access for some American agricultural products. So not all, but some. And we've talked about this before on the channel. The standards of American food and agriculture may not necessarily match the standards of the EU, meaning that, or it's not just the EU, but many countries, meaning that the quality of the U.S. agriculture may not be as high as Trump proclaims. I'll just say this. We talked this before. If you try to sell, say, like Hershey's chocolate in Europe, they won't even call it chocolate in Europe because it doesn't have enough chocolate in it. That's sort of like the kind of crazy stuff that we're talking about, or various things that they're injecting in the U.S. chicken or meat or whatever and trying to send to Europe, and consumers may not necessarily want it. It's lower quality. It's lower grade. Also, here's some more. It says that Trump, I guess what we're talking about is co-developing AI data centers. I've talked this before. This is all the stuff negotiating. Trump and his buddies, you know, want to get rich off the tariffs because people always ask, you know, where's the tariff money go? So the idea is that Trump wants to create this slush fund to do his AI, his crypto, or whatever nonsense robots with Elon Musk, and this is the stuff they're negotiating. You can see right here. I think this whole thing's insane, and I don't think any countries, well, to be fair, except the UK. I know people in the UK are like, oh my God, don't bring that up. But yeah, it seems like so far, I guess the UK has bending the knee, but I don't see Europe bending the knee on this stuff. And when you see that, and you guys know this, there are many countries in the EU, and also many companies are going to be impacted by this. There's just so many players. That's why these sort of trade deals take so long. And why not just go free trade, right? And then just knock off all tariffs on both sides. But Trump's looking to, again, put tariffs in other countries. That's a tax on you. Just make that sure that's clear. So anything that's imported in, and then he wants to take that, essentially sales tax money, and put it in his own pocket. Here's some more. It says, Trump said in a social media post on Friday he would impose a 50% tariff on the bloc's imports as of June 1st. That's going pretty quickly. And because he thinks negotiations are going nowhere, right? Treasury Secretary, well, of course they're going nowhere. Donald Trump's leading this thing, right? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the EU's offer was worse than other countries. Well, that's not very nice. And expressed hope that the president's post would light a fire under the EU. Like, who are these people? I mean, and the Bessent guy is the one who coughs all the time before he lies, so it's a bunch of nonsense. Let's see some more. It says, specific details of the EU offer haven't been previously disclosed. That's why this is a breaking news here. To cover the tariff and non-tariff barriers, enhancing economic security. So you could also negotiate about how much money the EU will spend towards military, right, to strengthen NATO. Trump has threatened many times to leave NATO, so there's that. Mutual investments and strategic purchases and cooperation on global challenges. I bet you some of that stuff is Trump's golden dome stuff. he may be looking for partners in Europe to invest in his stupid Golden Dome. If you don't know, that's the Reagan Star Wars things. Like I said, there's a lot of things in play. Here's a chart regarding EU imports and exports, and also it includes goods and services. I'll just say this, it is all over the map. One of the things that the US has a real, I'm sorry to say it, interest in making sure that, services like your Google and your Facebook and Elon Musk's Twitter, right, as well, go into the EU and are essentially unregulated. EU is much stricter than the USA. They, for example, if Musk puts out a bunch of misinformation on X, he could face major fines. If you're putting inappropriate content, which is not necessarily same, let's say not safe for work kind of content, again, fines. You also have issues of, say, monopoly stuff, which the American companies like to do, just buy the smaller companies, control the market, that kind of stuff. And so, Trump, essentially, if you understand this, is as many billionaires on the American side are trying to garner favor with Trump. And so then Trump's trying to open up, and the way they'll say it is like, oh, your markets are closed to us, you got to open up to American, businesses, et cetera. But American businesses are already all over the world. It's just that Trump sort of wants, in a world, or you could say the billionaires that control Trump or the billionaires that work with Trump, however you want to put it, they want a world where the American companies dominate and sort of crush the other ones and you can argue unfair ways. I'll let you guys be the judge of like how to talk about when, say, for example, Apple puts apps in the App Store and takes large fees for any sort of company that wants to have payment transactions through that. Or Google is buying up things, or the way they do their advertising search, right? You can place your ads towards the top. There's multiple issues with this stuff. This is actually really interesting. Also, there's other proposals. So I'll read some more here. Other proposals floated include establishing transatlantic quotas and a steel arrangement oversight group. Right. So this would be because there's a lot of players in play. So, Trump's going to try to promise all the people are going to get their jobs back at the steel mills in the USA. It's not just Europe. You also would be implications of what's going on in Canada with the steel trade, or in Japan. I think Korea would be involved as well. So many parts in motion. What else we have? We're negotiating, working towards zero for zero tariffs on cars, where tariff rate quotas as possible interim measure. I'll say this with the car thing. Cars are a really interesting product category because every country is going to have a different market, and every market is going to have different things that they like, right? So maybe in the U.S. market, everybody really wants the really big trucks that don't get that great gas mileage, just for example, or maybe everyone's going to want the SUVs, right? I can just tell you guys, if you don't know, we're here in Prague, Czech Republic. And there's actually a brand I had never heard of before. I think it's called Skoda. And if you guys are familiar with this brand, you can let me know. I've been seeing them all over the road. I've never heard of this thing, and I haven't seen them in the USA. If you guys know Skoda, let me know. And there's the sort of the Italian cars are popular here. German cars are popular here. I've seen I saw Toyotas here. I haven't seen a lot of Korean cars. I'm just thinking about, because I just walking around, I haven't seen a lot of Korean cars. You see BMWs, Mercedes, etc. It's just a different market. Now, whether or not that's because due to the market is closed or consumer preferences could be different. Also, you want cars that are smaller and can fit in, narrower roads. So it's a different need. And other people have mentioned as well as across Europe. So for example, you may have roads that are like cobblestone-y kind of thing. And so if you try to sell something like a Cybertruck that's just too heavy, it'll ruin the road. So again, markets are different. And the way that Trump people always like to say is like, oh, you guys are all closed to us. So yes, in some situations, there could be tariffs where, it's harder for American companies to sell. Like, so for example, or you can talk about the other way, where say BYDs don't come to USA because they're effectively blocked in the USA. And so it works both ways, guys. Here's some other stuff. It says collaborating to slash unwanted dependencies in the pharmaceutical sector. That's an interesting one. Pharmaceuticals, medical devices, these kind of things, that's actually major money. Part of this one is that it's not only the money situation is the U.S. is, from their perspective, is like, hey, this would be like a strategic industry. We need to want to try to keep all that stuff at home, but so many of our supply chains are globalized, and in the pharmaceutical sector also, the research come from all over the world. As you guys know, Trump's trying to cut off foreign and international researchers and students from coming to Harvard, which is frankly ridiculous. They rejected their CVIS, which is like the visa program essentially. As I heard, the most recent update on that is Harvard is suing, which they rightfully should, and I'm thinking they're going to win, but we'll see how that one plays out. What else we got here? Jointly addressing overcapacity in older generation semiconductors. Okay, I wouldn't be shocked if he's going to try to get people to invest in his Stargate thing. If you guys don't know, I know I'm covering a lot, but I'm just trying to go over some of the stuff I'm negotiating. The Stargate thing is OpenAI. I believe Japanese money is involved with this also, and then I think Oracle is involved. And OpenAI, the Japan one was SoftBank. The money though hasn't really arrived. People are just making all pledges. So when you're talking about any one of these product categories, you're dealing with the Trump, craziness, nonsense, irrationality, right? He changes his mind all the time, and you're also dealing with a bunch of pledges of money that may never come to fruition. And remember, Saudi and Middle Eastern money making quote pledges on this stuff too. There's a lot of balls in the air. I mean, if I'm probably in another country, I'm just reading through all this stuff. I'm probably just going to sit it out and just let Trump have a meltdown. What else we got here? Enhanced cooperation on investment screenings and export controls. That's interesting stuff as well. Actually, financial transactions are quite a lot of money involved for the USA, but also here it says export controls, enhanced cooperation on investment screenings and export controls. Just the way I read this, investment screenings could be going through the books or how you regulate accounting practices, kind of thing. Export controls could be any number of things. I mean, any number of things could be with that. How do you levy the tariffs, and how do you manage that? What else we also have here? Deepen cooperation on global challenges and strategic sectors, including metals, auto parts, pharma, semiconductors, and civil aviation. Also mentioned in this thing as well was shipbuilding, which is a really interesting one. Trump's been talking against the EU with this stuff, and actually Korea is a big part of that as well. So I just wanted to give you a general overview. One is, yes, Trump's crazy. We all know that. But I want you to see like how extensive these talks can be, how many companies can be involved, how many industries can be involved. And with so many players and things in motion, this is why an honest timeline for a trade deal could be like 2 years to be fast, 10 years to be long, and Trump's not going to last that long, right? So this is where we're in this like huge unstable moment. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on any one of these things. Please share, and catch you all in the next video.